am an integrative wellness coach, and I've worked in naturopathic medicine for about 12 years now. I think since 2008. I've worked in naturopathic medicine as a coach since 2008. And I am here to just share my perspectives and drop some knowledge bombs with you guys and just talk about daily life. I used to be a meth addict. I was overweight. I've had a lot of big shifts in my life. And so I'm just coming to drop nuggets of wisdom if you're new to me. So today I'm going to talk about being a step parent and co-parenting. I am a step-parent of a 16 in a month, she will be 17-year-old teenager. And I have been with her father since she was 5. So she's been in my life for a very long time. And back last year, she was getting into some unsavory things and dating a little schlubbo and, doing all the things that us teenagers do and go through, most of us anyways. And she tried to kill herself, and she cut her wrist open pretty bad, and she was living with her mom at this time. So her mom had enough because she was off doing drugs and all the shit, all the things that we all do and then grow out of, God willing. And she came to live with us a year ago, and she's turning 17 soon, and we're getting her license and all that stuff. But we have decided, very controversially to some parents maybe, to not let her buy a car. And she has a Gab phone. We've taken away the phone with all the apps because when she had a phone with Snapchat and all the apps, she was being very, very promiscuous and there was a double life going on, right? There was a complete double life going on. And she was doing drugs and all the things. And so I found this phone and I found all the shit and I got her a Gab phone. I got rid of the phone with all the apps because you know what? Kid's a child. I don't give a shit how old you think you are. When you're a teenager, you're a teenager and you're still a child. Unless you're paying money, then no. I don't know. Unless you're like paying your rent and paying your way and really working, you're not an adult until you're paying your way. And so she's very, very upset with me first for taking the phone, but we're about a year out from that actually, and she's had this Gab phone for about a year, so we're good. But we're getting the license right now, and she comes to me and she gets really puffy about stuff because she has this little job now and thinks that, because she has a little bit of money that whatever. And she's like, I'm going to buy a car. And she tells me, I'm going to. And I said, you know what, little girl? No, you're not. You're going to save your money, and you are going to do something fun with it. And then when you turn 18, feel free to buy a car. Feel free to buy yourself a new phone with all the apps, but you're going to pay us rent. So, of course, she gets all pissed off at me. But you know what? I don't care because I'm doing the right thing. And she has been... She has done so much better since we have been co-parenting with her mom and working together for a strategy. She has straight A's and B's. She did have D's and F's. And she isn't talking to this boy who is doing all the drugs and all the things and just a total loser. And I've been there, I've done that, I've done the drugs and the things and it was fun, whatever. But it really set me back in my life, and I could be a lot further along if I wouldn't have just focused on partying my ass off. And I think one of the things that is really wrong with society in this day and age is we're a bunch of adult fucking teenagers who need to grow the hell up. Pardon my French, but we need to grow up. But when you're a teenager, go be a teenager. Save your money and do teenager things. Go do something fun that you can't do when you are an adult, right? So she doesn't understand these things and of course gets all mad at me, but someday when she comes back around in 20 years, she'll understand why I took the phone away, why I got the Gab phone, why she doesn't have social media, why she's not on TikTok blasting her tits all over, acting with these hickeys and crap. It's just so sad to see what our teenagers have become. And there's this, I was watching Romeo and Juliet with her the other day, and she says to me, were boys really like this when you were younger? Were boys like this when you were in the 90s? Were boys, and I go, what do you mean were boys like this? And she says, well, did they poke at each other and like wrestle and stuff? because it was the scene where the guys are biting their thumb at the very opening scene where they have the gas station brawl, and I'm like, what are you talking about? And she's like, well, boys my age don't do this sort of thing. They're not rowdy. And I really think that the reason that boys are not rowdy, I'm like, holy shit, I didn't even realize, number one, I didn't even realize that about boys. It's like, I can't even imagine boys like not being rowdy and like fun ever. Like all the boys when I was growing up, they all either played drums, they were playing guitar, they were building forts, they were always into everything, right? But now they're so docile and they just sit on their ass all the time. It's crazy. And so I just can't even wrap my head around this. But their culture is recycled, right? Like, so they just watch these movies that have been redone and this music that's been redone and all this recycled shit. And so they never have any time, because they're always on their devices, to get bored. They never have any time to just get bored. Like let's praise for a moment boredom. Because boredom is where all of the great thoughts and the art and the music, and you have to get bored in order to create, right? As people, we are creators, and what are you creating if you're not bored? Like, you have to get into a place of boredom in order to have this creation. I mean, you can kind of on a level, like, you can tap into anger, you can tap into any emotion, but the emotion of boredom is one that it stirs up the creative. And I think that one of the biggest problems in culture is we don't allow our children to get bored. Let those kids be bored. Let them sit in the doctor's office without an iPad, Let them sit around and get into their thoughts and get deep and get creative. How can we come up with new concepts and ideas if we don't have time to mull them over? So as parents, I want to encourage you to get those phones out of their hands. I encourage you to wait on buying the car. Get the license, do the thing, but wait. And co-parent. You know what? You don't like that ex of your spouse? Fucking get over it. If you have a kid together, time to co-parent. Let's grow up a little bit. Let's grow up a bit. So people might be a little bit off on my approach of tough love, but it's okay for my daughter to be bored. It's okay for my daughter to not have a car at 17. It's okay for her to sit in her room and listen to music instead of scrolling on her phone, because that's what she does. She sits in her room and listens to music and draws and writes, poetry and stuff. She doesn't sit on her phone all day. And she's a lot different than those other kids. And she hates it, but someday she's gonna understand why I was so hard on her. So if you're a parent or a step-parent, which is a really difficult role, I encourage you to do the thing that's uncomfortable. Do the thing that everyone is telling you, oh my God, they're not gonna be in culture. You know what? Fuck culture. It's trash. Our culture right now is recycled trash. And the only way to change it is if we get our children bored. We gotta get those kids bored so they can create again. So if you have a child, let them be bored. Let them complain about it. They'll get over it. It's okay. It's like a storm. It's okay. Get bored. Get bored, and if you're an adult and you have a creative block, sit in your boredom for a bit, and I bet you something will come up. Something will come up. So boredom, don't be afraid of boredom. We are a nation and a culture that is just over-inundated with entertainment. We have an entertainment sickness. We have an entertainment sickness in the way that we can't even create new entertainment. Everything is recycled and woke and just blah, because we don't get bored. Get fucking bored! Go, get bored! Go get bored. Go, and make your children bored. And it'll be fun to see what they create in the process. So let them be mad at you. Let them be bored. Let them say no. Let them be different than all these other children. Because these kids are gonna grow up to run our country. And I'm telling you what, I am terrified to be an old person when she is my age. Luckily, my kiddo has a firm foundation because we have kind of kept our thumb on her. But it took some undoing of what, God bless her mom. She did the best that she could. But I had a very fierce mother who I never understood until now. And I'm telling you what, she kicks ass. And I'm really happy that she kept her thumb on my neck and kept me bored in some sense. And I was a wild child though, man. My kid is nothing compared to what I was. I was out driving around, you know, at 15 years old in my car, doing meth and getting in cars with strangers, driving, you know, doing horrible things that I don't even want to say on here because it will hurt my mom's heart, and I know she's on TikTok. So, Mom, if you're watching, thank you.